You know what I'm here for.
Back on top, punching the clock, clutching sanity.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back. I don't really have anything specific to talk about, so when in doubt, just talk about the MVP race. That's what I've learned. And it's actually interesting because right now I don't know who my MVP is, and I plan on doing my midseason awards. I'm probably going to drop that video tomorrow, and I absolutely have no idea who's the MVP of the NBA right now. I mean, this might be the most wide open MVP race ever. Like, it seems so wide open this year. There's a legit like 6-7 names that you can have in consideration. Like, if you had them in your top 3, I wouldn't be mad at you at all. It's ridiculous, man. So we're gonna talk about it, man. We had some guys put up some crazy performances last night that are in the MVP race. I'm gonna go based off of the NBA.com's MVP ladder and who they have in order. So I'm gonna just talk about those candidates in order. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So if you remember a few weeks ago when I made my last MVP video that I was talking about the candidates, I was saying like in a couple weeks things could shift drastically. And one of the dudes I said could rise up is Giannis. And right now, NBA.com says he's the MVP. And I think a lot of people in the NBA, world that talk basketball on YouTube and stuff, they have said the same thing. Like, Giannis has risen to the top of the MVP race. And I can't really disagree with it. He's been incredible. The Bucks have been playing amazing basketball. I think they've only lost 3 games when Giannis, Drew, and Chris Middleton all play, which is crazy. I think they're 17-3 now. So they're still one of the best teams in the league. They should still be one of the favorites to make it out of the Eastern Conference. They've been amazing. And Giannis is just putting up great stats, man. 28, 11, 6 assists a game. Shooting the free throw at like 71%, which is good for his standards. And he's just been dominant. Still a dominant defensive player. Probably one of the candidates for Defensive Player of the Year. He's been amazing, and you can't really argue with his case, man. He could potentially be a 3-time MVP by the end of this year, which is unheard of. Like, not a lot of guys win 3 MVPs in their career. And Jokic, they got Jokic at number 2. And I think every candidate kind of has things working against them, maybe except for Giannis. I think Giannis really has like the most solid case as of right now. But Jokic, I think his worst thing against him is that his team's just not amazing. They're still a playoff team. They're above 500. But his team's not amazing right now. And if he's like a 6th seed or something like that, he's probably not going to win MVP. But he's been incredible. Last night he had a 49, 14, and 10 assist game. Like, incredible, dominant, really dominant, which is just what he's been this season. And I think it definitely shows his value because this team, this Nuggets team, without Michael Porter Jr., no Jamal Murray pretty much probably for the entire season. And guys can't hit wide open jump shots on this team. For the most part, Jokic has been the constant thing that has kept this team above water. And when he doesn't play, they're not a good team. They're just not a good team at all. So Jokic, he's in the race, but I just think the only thing holding him back is winning those games. But I think his case is that he's so dominant, his team is still a playoff team with him in there. And his counting numbers look amazing. Advanced stats love Nikola Jokic. I'll say that much. They love Jokic. So he has a case, man. He's one of many candidates that has a legit case of winning the MVP this year. I guess I'm gonna just make cases for everybody that I see in this list. Number 3 is KD. Kevin Durant, leading scorer in the NBA. At times, he's been just everything for the Brooklyn Nets. We know James Harden got off to a slow start. Kyrie Irving's been playing part-time, and that only started like a few weeks ago. KD's been the constant thing. There was a game against the Toronto Raptors like a month ago where Kevin Durant was like the only starter quality NBA player on the court for the Brooklyn Nets, and he literally carried them to a victory. He was playing with guys that I had never heard of, or I've only seen like briefly play. Like David Duke Jr. was getting big time minutes. I've heard the name Kessler Edwards, but I didn't know he was on the NBA roster. He was playing big time minutes, and I think it was just KD and Patty Mills were like the only starters that were out there, and KD willed the team to victory. He's been incredible. It sucks that he's going to miss so much time. I think that's the main thing working against him is that he's about to miss, I think, at least a month of basketball. And knowing the Brooklyn Nets, they might keep him out for longer depending on how, the season is going. So that's probably the main thing working against KD right now. And the Nets have also been losing some games even when he was playing. And it's like KD was still doing his thing. Like, he was still scoring at least 25 points in like so many straight games, but just the Nets weren't playing good. But that's kind of been the theme of their season. Like, KD's just been super dominant. But get well soon, KD. It sucks that he's gonna miss so much time, man, because he's already missed so much time in the last couple of years, and this is just another setback, man, from a guy that was really having, I think, maybe the most consistent MVP run this season. But we'll see how it goes and how much time he does miss, because that's going to affect it. And this is the guy I want to talk about. Joel Embiid, man, he has just been steady since he came back from COVID. He's just been super steady. His numbers look amazing. People forget, man, last season, before LeBron was hurt and before Joel got hurt, those were the top 2 candidates for MVP. People forget, man, Jokic he was steady all season long. He didn't miss any time. Embiid was probably like leading the race, before he missed 20 games. Like, Embiid was that dude, man, last year. And, I think this season it might be a little tougher because his team, the Sixers are still very good, and they've been playing a lot better lately, but they're not like top of the conference. I think that was a good, thing to have for him last season, was that the Sixers were like top of the Eastern Conference pretty much the entire season. They're not that this year, but they're still a very good team. And without Joel Embiid, they're not that. Like, he is super valuable on both sides of the floor. We know that. And man, he's just been so dominant lately. He scored 50 last night on 23 shots in just 27 minutes. That's dominant, bro. That is dominant. Shout out to Joel, man. I think he's rising on this list, man. Like, we might look at this in a couple weeks with KD missing time and with, Jokic still being there. Like, when we look at the MVP ladder in like a few weeks, he might be up to number 2, maybe number 1. You never know. He's been incredible. And they got DeMar DeRozan at number 5. I don't disagree with it. It is like a power ranking, so it's very like fluid. DeMar's been very steady. He's kind of slowed down a little bit since like he had that late December run. The Bulls have slowed down a little bit, but DeMar's still doing his thing. With Zach LaVine missing some time coming up here with an injury, it's gonna be the DeMar DeRozan show. He had a nice game last night. He had some big time shots against the Cavs. So I'm a fan of the DeMar MVP train. I just don't know if he's 5 right now. I'm not sure, but man, that just shows you how many candidates there really are. And I think this list goes all the way to 10, and we might talk about maybe all 10 guys that's on this list, because guys really got cases this year, to be in the MVP race. Yeah, no, those are the top 5, and I'm gonna talk all the way through 10 because I see who 10 is. We're gonna talk about it for sure. 6, they got Steph Curry. Steph's been in a super slump lately, but the way his season started, and he's playing on a top 2 team in the NBA, he has to be in the race, and he's still been good. A slump for Steph Curry. Some players would probably dream of still putting up those numbers that he's putting up, man. So I'm not tripping about Steph. I think he's gonna get his rhythm back and stuff. It's just crazy. Like a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, around Thanksgiving, like he was like kind of undisputed at that point in some people's eyes. I thought it was a toss-up between him and KD, but some people's eyes it was his award to lose, and he lost it. He lost it right now, but there's still a lot of season left. 7, this guy I want to talk about, Ja Morant. His case is very interesting. We know what the Grizzlies have been doing. They've been super good. Even though they've lost a couple games here recently, they've been very good still. Ja has been incredible. He looks like maybe top 3 point guard in the world. I remember last season he said he's easily a top 5 point guard. Now he might be like top 3, which is crazy to say at such a young age. Should be an all-star, potentially an all-star starter. The Grizzlies looking like they're going to have home court advantage in the first round. He's been great. The only knock is that his team was good without him. They won, I think, 10-2 without Ja Morant. That's the only thing. That's the only knock. He did miss some time early on in the season, but everybody's missed time. So I can't hold that against the man for missing time. I think he has an interesting case, and I think the better the Grizzlies get, I think the more his case gets solidified, man. And we could see him maybe jump up into the top 5 here soon. They have Chris Paul at number 8, and Chris Paul's case is just like, his numbers don't look like, they don't pop off the page. He does average 10 assists, but like his scoring numbers ain't high. I think like even some of his field goal percentages are down this year. But the Phoenix Suns have been fighting for the best team in basketball all season long. And Chris Paul's value is a part of that, man. His value is a part of that. D-Book missed a few games during their run. And Chris Paul was steady, man. Steady. And no matter who's been out, whether it's DeAndre Ayton, whether it's Devin Booker, he comes in. JaVale McGee steps up with Chris Paul on the court. Jalen Smith has stepped up with Chris Paul on the court. It doesn't matter, man, who he's playing with and who's missing time. Chris Paul is very steady. And the Suns have still been the best team in basketball, even with, all the guys that's missed time for them. So I see why Chris Paul is, high on people's list. It's just, if this was like 7 years ago, you know, Chris Paul averaging like 20 and 11 assists or something like that. Maybe I'm jumping, maybe that was a little farther back than that. But, you know, Chris Paul type numbers, he might be higher on this list, but I think his counting numbers might be like 14, 15 points a game. So his numbers just don't look as sexy as everybody else's numbers. But shout out CP3, man. Y'all know that's my guy. And at number 9, they got LeBron. There's a lot working against LeBron, but that does not take away from how great he's been. He's missed a lot of time. The Lakers are bad, but without LeBron James, this might be a bottom feeder, a bottom feeder of a team, man. And he's done this. He's doing crazy things with AD missing time. The guy that they traded for, Russell Westbrook, has not been the guy that was advertised, and he's been playing the 5 some nights. Stanley Johnson's been getting big minutes. Some nights Malik Monk is his second best player, and Avery Bradley's the next best player. And LeBron's still doing this thing. He's still incredible. Yeah, the Lakers, they're just a bad team. For the expectations that we had before the season, they're just a bad team. And number 10, they got Rudy, man. Rudy Gobert at number 10. All I'm gonna say is, Rudy, his value showed when he missed time for COVID. His value really showed, man, because the Jazz look pathetic. They look pathetic out there, especially on the defensive side of the floor. And Rudy is that engine. Even though they lost the game last night that they probably should not have lost to the Houston Rockets, Rudy's value on the defensive side of the floor, I think that's why they have him in the top 10. I think that's why. You can argue maybe Donovan Mitchell, but we see Rudy's value, man. And I'm glad people are starting to realize it. It's just we all know where we want to see it the most, and that's the postseason. So yeah, the MVP race, as wide open as I think it's ever been. Like I can't remember the last time. Maybe last year it was a little bit wide open, but then by a certain point everybody knew Jokic was gonna win it. So this year, man, we might, like, somebody that's outside of the top 5 might jump up and get serious MVP consideration. Like Steph Curry could easily jump back up. John Morant can jump back up. If the Lakers go on some like wild streak to, you know, boost their playoff seeding, maybe LeBron jumps up. Or maybe Giannis just continues to be the leading candidate, because I don't know if I disagree with that. Giannis might be the MVP right now. But like I said a few weeks ago, man, this can change quickly, man. Close race. We love to see it. Who's your MVP? Comment it down below, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Off season. Let's work. Hey, plotting my escape this game.